What's up, nerds and nerdettes and wee little nerdlings all? It's your buddy Johnny G for Two Gun Pixie presents Legendary Gaming. Marching Order by Crumbling. This is for 1 to 4 players ages 17 and up. You could play this light DM style for a 5th player, but it is primarily made for 1 to 4. Now, the box, the presentation, I love this a lot. It's really dark, maybe a little bit more dark than it should be. It could catch a little bit more attention, could pop a little bit more with some color on it. But they went with a black and white, rather sketchy style of art. When I say sketchy, I don't mean like sinister or iffy. I just mean it's a good quality, hard line, well done piece of art, but it looks more sketch line artwork. I'm not an artist. I'm not an art critic, obviously, but regardless, I know what I like, and I like this look. I like this look particularly for what this is. It is a gritty game, and that comes through in the art. Now, the box itself is a hard cardboard box, a flip fold open style, which I'm not a big fan of, honestly, but I guess it works for this. I guess it works. And it depicts some artwork around the side of the box, which is nice. And it kind of gets you ready for the attitude of the game when you open it up, and one of the first things you see is it says, "Or don't come back." It definitely does set a tone. Now, looking further into the components now, it's basically 2 books, a deck of some cards, and it has a folding treasure sheet. That's what you get. Now, there are some expansions for it, which I won't be getting into right now. But they do have 3 mini expansions: Return to the Decaying Manse, Pendulous Pillaged, and the Protecting of Sir Grumford, in case you really get into the game. Now, this game it uses the components for you to make a character. It doesn't have character sheets with it. You can download some, or just like I tend to do, I just use an index card, actually, to write the characters all up on. And the 2 books are a rule book and a campaign book. And they can be differentiated between the 2 by the cover. The cover of the rule book, or the player's book, the player's handbook in a sense, shows the back of the party facing off against a horde of maybe goblins that are coming at them, while the quest book is the opposite point of view. It is the back of the goblins as they are facing off, charging towards the heroes. So I really like the dual aspect of the point of view between these 2 covers, and the subtle way they tell you which book is which. Now, the cards continue the same artwork that you find on the box and you find in the rules. It dominates through the game, and the cards are basically used. They're party cards, and they're the monster cards. And you use them to set up the lineup of the game. You use them to choose which of the heroes you want to play, because there are a lot of rogues, not heroes. They're not heroes in this game. There's a lot of rogues for you to choose from in order to put your party together. And the cards all really work nice. I like you flip them over, and they're like all the artwork with a black background to show that they've gone already, they've been spent, so to speak, while the active, ready for action side is much lighter. Now, there really are no other components to the game other than this. I was given a review copy, not a final hard copy, and because of that, some of the pages, the glue, and some of the pages holding these books together did come apart. So I just want to mention that up front. But otherwise, my guess is that I imagine that the other copies that weren't quickly made for reviewers will probably, hopefully, be not falling apart on you. Now, the rules themselves are really light and fun. I've done a video on how to play this game already, but in a nutshell, it is very RPG style, where you are given a task to go on a quest, and on that quest, you are going to be making rolls of the dice in order to beat encounter numbers, target numbers, in order to get everything done. This really is, if you're familiar with the rules to pretty much any RPG, especially fantasy-based or Dungeons & Dragons style RPG, then you kind of instinctively know these rules already. And they play through very simply. They're very easy to pick up. The 20-Sided Warriors picked them up about 5 minutes before we got on camera for the big team playthrough that we went live with. That's how easy these rules are to figure out and to learn. So I got to give them high marks, definitely, on coming out with a system that works so well without needing a lot of fidgety little things to keep track of. I find this game to be a lot of fun solo. It works solo well, and it works with a team just as well. As far as being a DM-style game, I think that's the lightest of the three versions you can play with this, only because there's not a hell of a lot for the DM to actually do, unless you're putting together your own quest. But as far as DMing one of the existing quests in the adventure book, it's a nice way to teach the other players how to play. That it does work very well with that. A first play for anyone, run it through like you're a DM, and they're gonna have the game down before the second round is even completed. I think that's the best purpose to run this DM style. But you can. The option is there for solo, for multiplayer, or adding a fifth player, one versus all DM style. Now, last thing I want to mention about, one of the last things I want to mention about the rules and the rule book particularly is the language. There's a reason why this game is 17 and up, because the rules and the language are a little harsh. They are a little in your face, a little adult, and because of that, it tries to pull away from the younger audiences. You know your child, I don't. Take a look at the game and make your own damn decision whether you think your child can handle the language that's in this game. But it is there for a warning, just to let you know, just in case. Now, along those lines, the other thing I want to mention about the rules that I really enjoy, something off the wall, a little oddball thing, it's called bullshit. No, really, it's called bullshit. And at the end of every player's turn, at the end of every monster's turn, there's a roll to see if some bullshit happens. Sometimes it's bad bullshit for the players, sometimes it's bad bullshit for the monsters. But that bullshit mechanic is probably the most fun of this game. And this is a fun game to begin with, but that just ramps up the fun, just pinning the needle, I think. The stories that unfold feel very much like a typical Dungeons & Dragons, Pathfinder, Tunnels and Trolls kind of adventure. And it's going to get you into that flow. It's going to get you into that mindset. At least it does for me in the 20-Sided Warriors. Anyway, and the stories are tough. They're not easy to get through some of these stories, and they definitely take a lot of forethought, a lot of planning. In fact, there's going to be a lot of times where you're going back to the town of Rock Bottom to get more supplies, because you probably won't have everything you need the first run through of an adventure. At least early on, until you realize, hey, we're probably always going to need more shit that we think we need, because you're always going to. And I like that aspect. It harkens back to the old days of D&D, when that's exactly what happened. Like in the old basic D&D, it was very typical for you to end temporarily, put on pause mid-quest, to go back to the keep in order to resupply. And during that time, usually more monsters have moved back in, which makes it a little tricky. But yeah, this does harken back to that, and I love that feeling. I definitely say that if you're looking for a small footprint, easy to learn, easy to teach, fantasy RPG game that's easy to travel with in the small box, this is the game you're going to want to take a look at. We have a bunch of videos based about this game. It's done us a lot of good. We've really had a lot of fun with this so far, and I'm glad I have this in my collection. So please, go get your own information, find out more yourself on Marching Order.